Hello, everyone. So we're going to get right into it. On this particular video, we're going to go over what children need in a phonics program, for example, and what are some of the things that structured, explicit, systematic, phonics, like all the things that people talk about with the science of reading. And so we're going to go over it, right? So let's get to it. When you ask parents, what sound does your child already know or master? Often, we will get like blank faces. We don't know, right? Or sometimes when you ask parents, what skill are your children weak and strong in? Or what sounds do they have a problem with blending, right? Parents are like, I don't know. I don't know. And honestly, sometimes teachers don't know. And so if this is you and you're like, yeah, this might be me. I don't know. I know that my children have a problem with uh, sounding out or blending, but I don't know what they know already. This is one of the reasons that we're going to do what we do. We're going to show you a better way. We're going to show you a way for this not to be you, right? Or sometimes we talk about to parents, and you ask them, what frustrates you the most about teaching your child, right? And teaching your child to read. So here we have parents not knowing, right? So we have a lot of parents don't know, and more parents not knowing. And here, with what frustrates them the most, we have parents saying, I don't know the order, I don't know all the sounds. These are the common things. And also, it's my child's resistance. My child gets really frustrated when they can't sound out a word. They get really frustrated when they can't sound out a word. And since they're frustrated, now I'm frustrated because I don't know how to help them. And then, on we go. So these are sort of when we talk about children need explicit sounds, phonics instruction. These are some of the things that are addressed at the home level. So it's a little bit different at the classroom level, but we're always talking about the home level. Instruction at home looks slightly different than in school because it's a different environment, right? You're not trying to teach 30 kids. You're trying to teach one, maybe two, maybe three, maybe four, maybe five, but that's usually about it. But usually, even in a home with many children, you're working one or two at a time, right? So, what we're trying to do is to give parents some agency here so that they can know how to serve their children and to reduce the frustration because they don't know. So, to give parents some knowledge, we want to give parents some agency. We want to give parents a blueprint because the parents had that. If parents knew how they can serve their children and they had these things, then there would be less resistance. And if children, we can empower children so that they could feel less frustration. So our job as parents, as teachers, is to be their facilitators. We want to facilitate the process of learning to read. And y'all, the root word for facilitate is facile, which is really to bring ease. So we want to bring ease into their process. So when we become facilitators of our children's process, we bring ease into that process and we reduce resistance. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? Actually, I can, instead of erasing this, I wonder if I can just, I'll see in a minute, okay? But let's see. Yeah. So in the past, before we look at that, we asked parents, well, what is your strategy So let's, before we can think of what is better and what could be better, let's think about what is your strategy and what are some of the things that you have done in the past to try to facilitate or help your children to read. And usually parents will say, well, we have a list of sight words. And when I'm teaching them sight words, usually is through flashcards. And we're memorizing our sight words. And then also we like to do a sounds and letters of the week. That's very, very common. And, it's formidable. Like, we appreciate when parents do the best that they can with the tools that they have. But here's what happens, right? Here's what happens is that sometimes letter of the week, right? One week, and then this other thing, we try to go, usually we'll go in like letter of the week, A, and it's capital and lowercase together, and there's no context in that, even though we don't write like this. We don't we don't write words like this. We don't write this. This is not Apple, right? So we don't write like that. And our children are not capitalizing. Our children are not, like, they're not writing sentences. They don't know anything about grammar. But we're just going to put two letters next to each other and we're going to call that A. And really, this is not, this is A. There's just two A's. This is not A. So that's one kind of confusing thing for children, because on one end, we're teaching them this, and then on the other, we're asking them to read this, words with this, and it's kind of, there's a disconnect. Do you see how there's a disconnect? Yes. Okay. So there's a disconnect there. What else? Right? Also, let's, like, words, letters are not really connected to words. And really, the whole point, and maybe we start with um their names. And there's nothing wrong with sending their names. I'll tell y'all this. If your child is very, very young and they have not connected sounds and letters to words, I like to start with sounds. But if you're taking this course, or if you have my books already, your children are probably at least 5, and they've made some kind of connection. If they haven't made a connection, you probably need the preschool program, the early childhood program. But if they've already made a connection, there's nothing wrong with teaching them the letter name and the sound. And let me tell you why. Because there's a connection between these two. So that's another thing. A lot of the times we teach the letter name as if it's separate than the sound. But it's not separate. The letter name has the sound in it for the most part, and I'm going to prove it to you. So I'm going to prove it to y'all. And we have to teach it as if they're connected. We have to teach the sound as if they're connected. So for example, A or A. I like to start with a lowercase, just so y'all know. I start with lowercase because it's mostly what we're going to use. So let's start with A. Let's start with the A, lowercase, because it's how I like to start. And this is A. And let me tell you something about A. She really makes 3 sounds, 4 even. But let's start with A. Let's start with short and long. So I can be like, A usually makes 2 common sounds. One is his name. The letter A makes the A sound, right? That's his long sound. So we hear the sound in the name. Do we not? Yes. And then it also makes the ah sound. And when I'm working with a child, if I'm gonna start from the beginning, I'm gonna say, whenever I tell you I want the ah, you're gonna point to the ah, or give me the ah, or give me the A, or touch it, or do whatever I tell you. But this is like, when I say ah, we're talking about A, right? So A has a sound, right? So there's a connection because A is one of his sound, right? And if we go, let's just go down the alphabet. B. What's the sound that B makes? B. If you say it, what's the sound? Right? Like ball, bounce, big, Betty, right? The sound, it's in its name. You can hear the sound in the name, so that's connected. What about C? What about C? C makes three sounds, two most common ones, two more common sound. It makes a sound C. I can hear it in the name. Hear the sound in the name. It's very important that we connect the sound in the name, because if we connect it, then the children are not learning a bunch of different things. They're learning one thing that is connected to the other. So, like, yeah, you have to learn the name of this, but it's going to make that sound, right? When it's next to the I, the E, and the Y, it makes that sound. What's the other sound that it makes? It makes a k sound, right? It's this sound. So it makes us another sound. So it makes two sounds and it makes a third sound. Shh. But sound in a name. See? I can hear it, right? So we want to connect. What's the next one? D. Do I hear the sound in the name? Absolutely. There's, or rather, I'll do it here. There's a connection. I hear the sound in the name. I hear the name. So when I learn the name, it tells me its sound. So we need to start connecting them so that children are like, if I know the sound, I know the name. If I know the name, I know the sound. So there's nothing wrong with teaching the letter name, but we want to teach it at the same time. There should be a connection. So first, usually we just have a list of words, which I'm going to tell you what the problem with that is. And then also letters of the week. So here's the thing. We want the children to read. Maybe they know the A, maybe they know the B, they know the C, they know the E, but they want to read. Can they read with a bunch of letter names? No. Right? And sometimes we'll think of, okay, well, if we're doing the letter A, we're going to show children a bunch of things that start with the letter A or starts with that sound. But let's say if I do apple, maybe I know ah, but if I don't know p and ooh, I can't read apple, right? If I don't know, if I say absent, but I don't know the other letters, I can't read it. So the problem is that we're teaching letters, but we still aren't giving children tools to read. So now they have to just sit around and wait. So that could be frustrating for children. And also, not all children are good at memorizing flashcards or whole words. Not all children are good at this. The other thing is that they'll start guessing based on the shape of the word. Um, the list of words is problematic, right? So then the other thing is like, what if I'm trying to read a word? I'm trying to read a word that is not here. I'm trying to read a word not on a list. If I just know how to read, if I just know memorize the words on a list, what do I do about unknown words that are not on a list? I don't know, right? I don't know what to do. And then children just get frustrated because they feel like you know what to do, you can decode, and they can't. So we're putting words on the in front of them, and they can't do anything about that, and then they get frustrated. So usually that's what it is. So hit enter, explicit systemic, explicit systematic sequential. People start throwing these words. So I want to teach you these words because when we talk about the science of reading, and people are going to be talking about the science of reading, they will throw words around, and you're like, I don't know what that is. And I want to make sure that you feel qualified and that you understand what the science of reading is. And one of the things about the science of reading is they want to be explicit. And explicit is, I don't want you to look at a picture. I don't want you to look at a picture. In my illustration, y'all, I don't want you to look at a picture and in any way have a clue, um, and think, okay, this might be flower, but it also could be maybe a daisy. It could also be a word for spring. Who knows, right? It could also be bloom. I don't know, right? So if I actually teach my phonics in a very explicit way and I want it to be flower, then I have to make sure that you know the sounds in flower, all of them. And I'm not going to ask you to read flower until I know that I've taught you all the sounds, right? So if I've taught you all the sounds and you can sound them out, then I probably have taught you explicitly. I'm not going to let you pick it up on your own. I'm not just going to expose you to a flower or any of that. Like, I'm actually showing you how to do it. Systematic and sequential has something to do with this scope and sequence. And that's going to solve our problem that we had before, where parents don't know what their child knows, and they don't know why their child is frustrated. They know some of the sounds, but not all of the sounds. So what if there's a way, right? What is a mechanism for us to know with certainty what sounds our children know? Well, if we follow an order, which is this scope and sequence, if we follow an order, and I'm like, listen, instead of you doing a word of the week or anything like that, if I follow an order that and it's going to be strategic, it's going to be explicit. Like, we're going to take our time. We're going to make sure that they know those sounds. We're going to put them together. We're going to build something with it. So we're going to have letters, sounds, and we're going to build words with those letters and sounds. And then we're going to build sentences with these words. What word? These. We're going to build, this is how it's going to flow. We're going to teach you letters and sounds together. Then we're going to build words with those letters and sounds, and then we're going to build sentences with those words, right? If this process is strategic and is working together, then that's explicit, systematic, and sequential. And I'm going to show you how beautiful that works. You're going to be like, why didn't we do this before? The other thing is that, yes, some words will have to be memorized, right? Because some words, we need to build sentences, y'all. So some words will have to be memorized. But instead of me giving you like a list of words that they have to know, I'm going to give you words. So yes, we're going to have sounds, which correspond to the letters. We're going to build the words, and we're going to take those words and build sentences so that everything is, and then those sight words that we need, those heart words or frequency or sight words that we need to make these sentences are going to be here. So I'm gonna introduce these sight words also strategically within the scope and sequence. I'm gonna show you what that looks like, and you're gonna see how incredibly helpful it is. So this is totally different, and it's going to reduce the cognitive load of the child. And what does that mean? Is that your child can focus on the blending and can focus on the actual skill on hearing the sounds, because you're going to take like a bunch of guesswork out of the picture. So before we do that, you know CVC words. So CVC words are these words. This stands for, actually, this stands for consonant, vowel, consonant. And these little words are like this. So you know. Look, red, consonant, vowel, consonant. Big, consonant, vowel, consonant. Cat, consonant, vowel, consonant. So if you see the word CVC and you don't know what it is, it's this. It's these kinds of words that we're very familiar with. Those short, usually one syllable words, right? That have that vowel in the middle. They're like the foundation. You know why they're the foundation to everything? It's not because there's so many of them at the beginning, but also if you think about words like canvas, you have one here and you have one here. Velvet. There's so many, it's not just little singular words. It's also, look, they're here and then you add a suffix and you have more words. So the thing about teaching CVC words is that bigger words with multi-syllable are often still composed, still structured to have these syllables are going to be short CVC words. So learnings, they're the building blocks, right, of learning to read in English. And so when we think about preschool words or beginner words, we're thinking about a lot of words like the cat sat on the hat or any of that. The cat sat on the mat, right? So if you think about the order of the alphabet, if you're doing letter of the week, how many CVC words can we make in this order, the first 12? Well, we can do what? Fig. Nope, we can't do cat. What can we do? Lip. Nope, we can't do lip. What can we do? Bad. We can do bad. We can do fad. We can do fed. We can do fig. We can do what? Not that many, right? No, we can't do hat. Not that many, right? That's the problem with following the alphabet. But what if we, instead of this, look at this. Instead of this order, instead of that order, what if we use an order like this? And now we can write cat, mat, tip, tap, what? Pig. I know my handwriting is sloppy. I'm trying to hurry. But do you see? Rip, sip, Did I do fog? Nope. Fog, fig. Do you see that? You could even do stop, right? And so this order, changing the order, because this is a strategic order, will help us get to more words faster. So when we're talking about scope and sequence and sequential and all those other fancy words, we're like, listen, we're gonna do this in order. We're gonna be strategic about what we do so that your children will have some sound knowledge and they can start building words fast without guessing. That's what we want. Usually the reason that we're trying to get them to memorize words quickly is so that they can decode and come up, so they can read quickly. But actually, you can have them read quickly if you would just teach in the right order. So that's what we're going to do. So that's strategic. Now, what about the sequential? What order are we going to do this in? Well, this is what a scope and sequence is. So this is saying, listen, and explicit at that. So let's say I'm going to start at this. And we're doing our first lesson, and I'm going to show you at. Let's just do our sounds. I'm just going to be like, let's just work on the sounds. I introduce the sounds, and we're just going to focus on the sounds with the child. So we're going to say, whenever I say k, you're going to pull to, I'm going to show them this. Whenever I say k, you're going to point to the C. Circle k. Let's circle This is ah. Let's circle ah. Let's circle t. And you're going to play lots of different things. You can be like, okay, well, here's another one. Where's Oh, wait. And M. You can hear it. And T. You can hear it. Ah. You can hear k. Here's k, right? And you can be like, underline underline ah. Underline k. Underline t. And now that your child knows these four, and as soon as you know that your child knows these four, you can be like, okay, well, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's build some words because you would care about sounds, but let's build some words. Let's take the word at. At. What's the first sound in at? At. Next sound, at. Nice. You just wrote at. You wrote at, and you could read at. At. Say the sounds. At. Right? What's the next sound? What's the word mat? What's the first sound in mat? At. Mat. Nice. You just wrote mat. What's the first sound in cat? Let's think about the sounds in cat. 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 We just wrote cat. So listen, you just went from not being a reader and a writer to knowing four sounds, and you're already, boom, 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 a writer and a reader. You may not know all the words, but listen, nobody knows all the words. You may not know you can't read and write all the words. Not everybody can, but you could read and write, like you can build at the very least these three with these four sounds. What about am? Right? What about you were the cheese to my mac? Mac. So boom, now I have given you just four sounds and I can help you build four words. And then I can be like, okay, now instead of a bunch of sight words, I have these words that we don't know all the sounds for, but they are very important words. And we are going to, and you can start just with, let's say, we'll start with these. Just one, you start with one instead of a bunch of lists, a list. And then you're like, okay, this is the word the. When I ask you to point to the word the, this is the word right here, the. And we're going to use it a lot. So we really have to remember that word, the. How many sounds do we hear? We hear th, And so the TH is making the th, and then the E is making the in this word. Those are not the sounds those letters usually make. But in this word, that's what it's making. And whenever I ask you to circle the or underline the, this is the word that I want you to that I want you to give me, okay? And then I'm going to put them out of order, like in a magnetic letter or movable alphabet, or I'm going to write them on some cardboard or pieces of paper and move it around and be like, okay, how do we get this word, these letters, to say this word? We have to put them in order. The, the. Okay? Let's try that again because about it's not just about the letters. It's about the order. How do we get these letters to say the? We got to put them in order. Two sounds. The, the. And you can teach your child how to build this one word. And then once they know how to do that one, I'm going to be like, and now I'm going to show you how to build this one. My. And this is going to be a little bit easier because look, M, Y. Oh, what? I hear the I sound in Y. Y, E, my, my, I. How do I make this say this? I, mine. Okay? So now if I ask you, if I put these two words here and I say, which one says the, circle it, a child can probably circle it. And I said, which one says mine? Right? And this may not take 10 minutes, but y'all, this is so much easier than what you've been doing. It's such a flex. Let's do it again. Friend, which ones point to the or underline the? Underline my. I have these two letters. How do I make them say my? I. If I have these three letters, how do I make them say the? The, there. What if I have another letter here? Maybe I'll add another letter. Which one says, how do I get that to say the? It's still the 2-8, the. It's still that. And I'm going to play a little bit with that and make sure I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to just give my child a bunch of other words. We're going to work on these two. Right? And once they know these two, I'm going to be like, okay, well, let's review. Let's review. Or let's do a few more and then we'll review. Let's do a few more. And this might take a few days, you know, but this is how we're going to do it. We're going to follow this order and you're going to see how this works. And you're going to be like, why didn't I do this before? Because you didn't know me. That's why. Okay, so this is the next one we're going to work on. Was. Super important word because it's like he was there. She was there. Was. I was happy. Right? So was is a super important word that we're going to have to learn. And so let's put these letters in order to say was. The A is going to say was. Let's put these in order. Was. Right? And you're going to play around and put them in order. Right? And you're going to say, okay, so if I gave you 3 words and I asked you, which one says my? Can you circle it? Which one says was? Which one says the? And once they can do that, they can identify those. You're like, okay, well, let's go ahead and review. Let's go ahead and review. And what we're going to do is we're going to review because we have to make sure that you know all your stuff. Okay. So I need you to circle the word the. I need you to circle the sound mm. I need you to circle the sound was. The letter, I need you to circle the letter t. I need you to circle the word was. I need you to circle the letter k. I need you to circle the word my. I need you to circle the letter sound ah, right? So once you do that, you're just doing that with your child. And once they're good, right? You're like, let me give you one more word, one more word for you to learn. This is the review. Oh no, let's do the review some more. Circle my, circle k, circle the, circle was, underline my, underline the, circle t, circle circle ah, right? Then once they know how to do that, you might say, okay, I'm going to give you one more. This is another important word. This is an important word. On. Aw. And aw, make a little circle with your mouth. Aw. Let's make a little circle with our mouth. Aw. And n, there's a connection. N makes an n sound. So on. So we'll also introduce this word. So now when children, you're like, they already knew these other ones. So now the new one is on. And if I give you these two letters, I need you to make them into on, right? And it's ah, ah, So you play with that a little bit, right? So now, y'all, I'm ready to show my child how to do something really cool. And I'm going to show my child how to do something really cool. Could be like, now you know these 4 words, 5, and you know these 4 sounds. Now that you know that, let's write a sentence. Let's write a sentence. You want to write a sentence? This is just a letter that is also a word. I am. What is the first sound in am? Ah, I am. What is your name? My name is Carla. Nice. Most children know how to write their name. So now you have written a complete sentence by yourself independently. I am Carla. And you wrote this entirely phonetically. You wrote it properly. I am Carla. And I am, let me show you mine, Mama Nikolai. That's me. You're Carla. I am Carla. I am Mama Nikolai. Okay, perfect. So let's write some more sentences. Let's write some more sentences. How about if we write the and you have it there. You want to write the and they can pick it out. They don't have to do it by memory. The cat. What's the first sound in cat? First sound in ah. Next sound in ah. In cat. Ah. Next sound. T. The cat. Let's pick the word was. Was. On. The. What about mat? M, a. So you went from only knowing four sounds and these sight words to writing sentences. What about, can you warm up my Mac? Mm, Mac, my Mac. So your child can write that. And you collaboratively, you can say, well, you don't know the sounds for warm up, but I'll write some and you write some. So what I'll do is I'll write please warm up, and you write my Mac. Mm, ah, and we're going to end up with a period. So together, collaboratively, we just wrote a sentence. So I'll go ahead and read. Please warm up, and you read. Which one did you pick? My. Which one? What did you write? Mac. So together, you wrote. Together, you wrote. Y'all wrote a collaborative sentence. And again, you're not doing this all of one day. But what I am saying is, now you're talking about sentences. Now your child feels accomplished because they're writing actual sentences and words. Now they see the point. Oh, the more words, the more sounds we learn, the more words we'll be able to write. Yes, you better tell somebody. And look, now I'm going to give you some more sounds. B, sound. We can hear the sound in the name. So when I say, can I have, you can circle B. It's in the name, friend. What about F? It's in the name. So you're going to circle that. Ah. You learn all with on. You make your mouth like a circle. Ah. Ah. And you already knew. From on, you review that. So when I say ah, you're going to circle O. Ah. And then when I say it's going to be the last one. It's going to be the G, right? So again, can you circle, can you circle ah, can you circle, can you circle t, can you circle can you circle ah, can you circle k? And you're going to review and practice new stuff, right? So, and you're like, you know what we can do now that we have on, which is super easy because it was ah and and you can hear and n, the name, right? And you practice these four new sounds, and you're like, let's write some more words. That's what we're gonna do because that's what scope and sequence does for us. Oh, what we're gonna practice? So we're gonna practice on, and we're gonna practice, and we're gonna practice. That's in the name. Aw, which we made our circle with our mouth, and we just really had one new one that was totally different. So we practiced that. And what do we do? So these words that we know are sight words and we have practiced them. This, which was a letter and a, right? Maybe we, not even, right? Again, I am at that. Can I not do that sentence? Yes, I can. Can I not do this phrase? My bat, right? So I can start my Mac, like we said before. We can collaborate. We can collaborate on this. I can also just write a bunch of words, right? Write a bunch of words. And then with a little more, once I get these, then I can just do the next four sounds. And now I really can do a bunch of words. And I could do some sentences. The cat is fat. The cat is big. My mat is big. Mom is fit. Okay, so now your child sees the connection with, okay, every time my parent teaches me four new sounds and maybe one more sight word, together we're writing sentences. And that's the power of scope and sequence. And you know what else? I'm not moving on until my child recognizes those four and then those four. And I know exactly what they know and exactly what they don't know. And we're going to keep going until we get to all 74 sounds. And the more sounds we know, the more words we build. And then, so I want to show you this. I want to show you this. Another thing about scope and sequence is that you as a parent are like, oh, I did at, oh, oh yeah, I do know what they know. I know exactly what they know. And you're gonna go down the list. Boom. And you're gonna go down the list and you're going to know exactly what your child knows. And so you're gonna have agency, right? You're gonna have agency over what your child knows. And you're going to be able to know what sounds give them a hard time. And if they give them a hard time, you're going to stay there for a little bit. And you're going to build, what are you going to build? You're going to build words with the sounds that you're working on. You're going to be building sentences with the words that you have built, including the frequency words. These sentences are built with those sounds. These words with those, these sentences built with those words, these words with those sounds. That's it. So is your child going to be super frustrated? Probably not. Probably not. Do they still need help and explicit support? Yes, they do. Guess what? For new sounds, these words are only going to have these new sounds plus the ones before. Plus the ones before. And these sentences are going to be built with these sounds from here and above. That's it. That's it. Right? Then you're going to review and you're going to keep building words. You're going to keep building words with these sounds only. And you're going to keep building working only on the frequency words that you're going to build the sentences. Everything is strategically connected to make sure that you are reducing the load and you're only working and isolating the skill. And so you as a parent, again, you keep, and then look, you do a review. You're doing this review. You're still on these 12. You've gone over all of these words. And if your child needs help with this, you're going to stay right there. And you're going to support your child. You know what else? You know what else is going to happen? Is that you're going to go back here with this new one. And I said, like before, we had these, and then we just added up to here. You add some more. And again, you're going to keep knowing what they know. Here's the other thing that I love so much is that finally, when you get to this, when you get to a reading practice, if your child can't do this, like these sentences in your first reading practice, these sentences in your first reading practice only have the sounds that you worked on, the words that you worked on. Only. So it's going to reduce the resistance. And you're going to ask yourself, you're going to assess, that my child have a good grasp on this? And if they don't, what are you going to do? You're going to go backwards. You're going to go backwards. And if they do, then you're going to go forward. And what's going to happen when you go forward? What's going to happen when you go forward is that you're going to have a few more sounds, right? You're going to have a few more sounds. We're going to see here. You're going to have a few more sounds, right? And then and more skills. A few more sounds, more skills. These are just blending skills. This is a new rule, right? Then you're going to come to this reading practice. The reading practice is just going to have what you just went over. The reading practice goes from reading practice, new sounds and skills, and another reading practice. So if this was this is reading practice number 1. This is reading practice number 2. If I get to reading practice number 2 and my child is struggling, guess what I have to do? Go backwards. But where do I have to go backwards? To the whole thing? No, I'm going to here. Because over here they were okay. If they were not okay, I wouldn't have moved on. And over here they're not. So I have isolated the problem. I have isolated the problem. Now I can be in service of my child. This is the power of a scope and a sequence in the hands of a parent. That we can be in service of our children. Not a bunch of words, not a bunch of word lists. Exactly. We can work on exactly. And what if our child already knows how to read, but it's their spelling that is horrible? Then instead of decoding, I am already making sure that they can read. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to dictate. I'm going to be like, okay, well, let's take out a piece of paper and we're going to write Mom got in the van. Because maybe they can read it, but they can't spell it. And instead of going through this from a decoding point, we're going to go through this through a dictation, and we're going to build their capacity to spell. And what does this book have? What does this book have, friends? You're going to keep going in order. You're going to keep going in order, and then we're going to get to You're going to keep going one sound at a time. This sound, this other sound, one sound at a time. And it follows the same format. And what your child knows that every single time they sit with you, they can, if nothing else, every single time they sit with you, you're like, okay, well, this is oi. And I know, and you know every other letter already because everything, you do not work on words without having covered the sounds. So you may have a new sound, but all the other sounds are known. So you're going to sit with me and you're going to know that this is oi because we're going to go over it. And this is oil. This is boil. This is oi, oink. Oi, coin. We're going to work on this. You know that you sat with me for 20 minutes and you were able to read these words. Now you're confident that mom or dad or baba or auntie knows what they're talking about and can support you. And we're going to build these sentences. And what do the sentences have? Only words that you have worked on with your frequency words or previous words that you have mastered. Only these new ones with those sounds and previous words that you have mastered. And now you can read these sentences. And to break it up, we're going to talk because this is all about relationship. And we're also going to have some discussions and talk. Have you ever felt a void? Why is gold valuable? Because we talked about coins here. So now we're going to connect it to a little bit of meaning. Why do people add salt to water when they boil it? We're going to connect the words to some discussion and be relational because we're with our children and they're giving us their attention and we're not entitled to it. That's the power. So now you go from what sounds do your child knows? You just went from I don't know to here's my sounds tracker. What skills do they struggle with? These skills. And I'm working on them on page 32 and 37, and we're not moving on until we go over them, right? Agency. And you're going to go. And you're going to go a few sounds at a time. So here's the thing. I'm calm. I'm not stressed. You know why? Because this is how it works. Whether I'm moving fast or I'm moving slow, right? I know that this is the start and this is the end, right? So whether my child is moving fast or, and maybe they pause here and need some more work, because my child needs a little bit more support. Here's the thing. I know that this is the beginning and this is the end. Again, beginning, end, right? Beginning, end. Even if my child is moving slow, needs to pause, they need some support here, they move slow, they need some more support here. I know that so long as I keep progressing, we all get here. So when people say behind, Behind where? Behind where? Where am I behind? Behind where? There's no deficit. There's nothing. There's nothing because we're all going to get here. So long as I'm consistent, I have a plan. Actually, we could just do this. So long as I'm consistent, if this is the start, if this is the end, and I have a plan that gets me from here to here, whether I'm going fast or slow, if I am consistent and I have a plan, everybody gets where. But it's because I have a plan. I have a plan. I am in service of my child. There's a beginning and there's an end. I know exactly where my child is and where to support them. So am I stressed? Am I lost? No. Am I at a deficit because I don't know what's going on? No. And I know my illustrations are the best, but let me tell you, this peace of mind, our children being able to trust us putting words in front of them that they can do with the skills that we do give them, and feeling capable, that is priceless. And that's what we're going to do. Because reading is for everybody, and we're going to make sure that our children read. That's the power of a scope and sequence. That is why we need explicit. We need to know exactly what we've taught, systematic, because we need to have a beginning and an end so that we can be in service of our children. Sequential, so that we can know, we can identify trouble areas, and we can pinpoint and give attention to whatever it is that our children need. This is what we need this to be here. But once we have it and we know how to build it, who's going to stop us? Right? In addition to that, if we also have a blueprint, like you saw the discussion questions were there, a blueprint for meaning. So we have a blueprint for meaning and a blueprint for vocabulary. Then we're also going to have the comprehension. And in addition to that, because we understand that there are two components to this, right? There's decoding, there's phonics and getting words off the page, there's meaning, but all of this goes in a container called executive function. Executive function is how we put connections together. Executive function is how we say, okay, sometimes it's A and sometimes it's A. And sometimes it's A and sometimes it's silent. Like we need to be able to have flexibility in our thinking. Children have to develop that. How they develop it is through connection and through play, through attachment and through play, through modeling and through play. And we know that because you've taken my course. So we're building executive function. We're building confidence. We're building identity. With every single lesson, our child understands that they're a reader, right? And then we're building the skills. Who's going to stop us from teaching our children to read? Nobody. Nobody, right? Nobody. Because reading is for everybody. And we're going to make sure of that. right? We're going to make sure of that. I don't know how to, there you go. We're going to make sure of that, y'all.